Greetings from Lily on the Pacific Northwest coast. I just read the really painfully hate-filled comments of Mr. Carl Palladino of the Buffalo School District in New York in relation to milord President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama. It is true that Donald Trump have been elected president. However, he's not sworn in until January 6th. Hence, I will not refer to him by the title president until he is. And even then, I may only refer to him as Trump. But I want to say this. Even Mr. Trump's transition campaign had found Mr. Palladino's comments horrific. This should tell us something. I'll be open with you, YouTube public. The being you see in this video had the history of an anger problem. And brain injury. So I do know a little bit about what it is like to be unable to control oneself. In my case, partly for logical reasons. In my history and background. But I will tell you this. There's never been a moment in my life when I was in center and fully myself. And anything I would want as myself. And said anything remotely similar to Mr. Palladino's wishing death by mad cow disease on milord President Obama. And not at least intellectually wished I could regret it. There were times when, because of my brain's then inability to feel a very, very wide range of feelings, including sympathy and caring in an active way. myself unless I was literally in the presence of someone else who could care at the neurological level, who could feel caring, who could feel sympathy, who could feel affection. I wasn't actively able to feel any myself. Until I was 22 and a half. I went through a lot of my brain's history, wanting to know what it felt like to feel sorry when I had done something wrong. Saying mean things to people who, in accuracy and fairness, were not necessarily behaving well themselves, but saying mean and nasty things to people, and then not feeling sorry, but feeling exactly nothing. Even during that period of my life, Mr. Palladino, I would not have spoken such things about anybody, and not at least with my mind intellectually wished that I could feel sorry. What you did in public, I find very disappointing in someone who has as much authority in your state as you do, in your school district. What you showed an example of to those children and young adults who could read your comments was appalling. This country believes in freedom of thought and freedom of speech. I cannot and would not fault you for thinking things like that, even if I profoundly disagree with you. I can fault you for saying it. Isms aside, racism, socialism, misogynism, feminism, all those isms aside, Mr. Palladino, what you did was publicly wish a very suffering death on a political adversary, an opponent. And I'm going to assume that said political opponent has not done anything directly towards yourself other than politically oppose your beliefs. That is utterly, utterly disappointing in a public official. I I can believe thinking a lot of things. I've thought some that would make you scream. But I cannot I cannot understand publicly saying a lot of things. And I hope, I hope that what you said about President Obama, you did not really in your heart of hearts mean. Now, as far as what you said of milady Michelle Obama, when you called her a man, you thought this was insulting how? I mean, when last I checked a lot of the honor codes about what it meant to be a real man, that included behaving with honor, courage, and dignity in the face of adversity, in the face of opponent, and in the face of danger. And it also included behaving with self-control. I offer you a poem. Mr. Palladino. You might have heard it. I don't know. And it's been a while, a few years since I thought of this poem. But it's a good one. And I'll be open with you, it is one of my favorites. It's by Rudyard Kipling. You may have heard it. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken on stoop and build them up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Mr. Palladino. From my perspective, in calling milady Michelle Obama a man, you gave her a compliment. Because it takes more than having balls to be a man. But I won't tell you. Beyond the poem. That I read to you. How I know that. That's another story. I can tell you. I have not seen either Barack Obama or Michelle Obama behave in any way that was truly mean or ignoble while they held in those times they've been holding their offices. What convinced me twice to vote for Barack Obama was that in hearing people set traps for him in debate, he didn't repay it with another trap. In being paid insults, he did not insult. He kept his composure. And moreover, he came into office, relatively speaking, a little bit newer to politics than a lot of the people who had been there. And every time something horrible happened, that affected not just the world at large, which is important, but here on our shores, Mr. Obama, Lord President Barack Obama, showed himself to be a very good, big-hearted person. And he did so in public and private. After the Sandy Hook Elementary School shootings, I was pleased to read of milord President Barack Obama spending time with each of the parents who had lost their child in the shooting. Shut himself in a room with them afterwards and said to each one, "Tell me about your child." He got to know the people who had lost their children. He got to know them person to person. And he has never said anything, to my knowledge, in the public eye that would prove a bad model for our children. for this nation's children. And after what I read, what you said of my favorite president since I've been incarnate in this body, the only president we've had in office in my 37 years that I have trusted in his character and not just as a politician. I cannot say the same for how you behaved or for the model you showed for our children, Mr. Palladino. Whatever's plaguing you, I hope you get better.